morning. Today I would like to talk to you about one of the topics that's been all throughout our nation for a long time now. The death penalty is probably one of the most polarizing topics for discussion in America today. On one side you have the people who believe that it is a practice that needs to be abolished. Then there are the others who think that it is perfectly fine as it is and needs to remain in place. But there are a few who remain in between and think that the death penalty is indeed flawed, but can still be revised in order to be more efficient. As it is now, there are several things wrong with the death penalty. It is not a real deterrent, it costs too much, and it keeps inmates on the death row for far too long. While these statements are all true, there are some simple solutions to these problems. The death penalty needs to be reworked, not abolished, in order to make sure that the most dangerous people in the U.S. will not be allowed to harm anyone again. For starters, the death penalty is not a deterrent, so it needs to stop being treated as such. Studies have shown that in states with the death penalty in place, there are little to no changes in homicide rates, and in some, the homicide rate has even gone up. This means that it does nothing to deter criminals from committing their crimes. To put it bluntly, the death penalty should be used more like a form of insurance to make sure that these individuals have no way of harming anyone ever again. Like the marathon bomber, for example. It should only be saved for cases with irrefutable evidence and involving the most horrible crimes. If the former is put in place, then the matter of cost can easily be worked out. Most of the cost in the death penalty comes from appealing to higher courts and for housing for inmates. If there's no question at all about a person's guilt in a case, then they don't need to be kept on death row for years and years. They can be executed almost immediately after. That will save some resources and prevent people from backing up in death row. One reason that people often give in opposition to the death penalty is that as a nation it makes us no different than the criminals killed alive. An example that enemies of the death penalty often bring up now is the botched execution of Clayton Lockett. After being given a lethal injection, Lockett was declared unconscious until he woke back up and began to writhe in agony. He continued like this until he was brought to a hospital and died while doctors attempted to resuscitate him. Many think that this disturbing case proves how animalistic and barbaric the death penalty truly is, while conveniently leaving out two very important facts. One, the execution was caused by a faulty sedative from a pharmaceutical company. It had nothing to do with the government's execution. And two, Lockett was a known felon who committed multiple crimes. The reason he was on death row in the first place was because of a home invasion that ended in him shooting and burying a woman alive. This kind of moral argument that killing the guilty makes us just as bad as them is flawed at best, since, under normal conditions, death row inmates are given the lethal injection while they are under heavy sedative and cannot feel anything. Again, many of the inmates on death row are horrible people who committed horrible crimes on innocent people, in many cases far more than one. Executing them in a way that, when performed properly, does not let them feel anything at all is far better than what they did to get on death row in the first place. Again, the death penalty is not a deterrent, so it cannot be used as such. It is a means to guarantee the safety of those who would be harmed by the worst criminals in the country. But my ideals alone are not enough to put these changes into place. I need the help of everyone here so that this nation may refine its laws and make sure that the death penalty will be put in place as a better law than it was before. That's it.